going on, y'all? Getting ready for our weekly Monday check-in. Hope everyone is enjoying themselves, getting the day started off right. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Peace, King.
How you doing? How you doing?
Bless, yo. I'm looking
Man.
outside, dog. Wake up to this. Come on, yo.
Right?
Feel like I'm
Telling you,
somewhere
man. Spring is
tropical.
here.
How are
Ready
you?
for positive vibes, man. Yeah, man. You know, doing okay. You know, I know that we have like a special topic today, so we'll definitely get into those vibes and whatnot, and just more reflections and community check-ins and whatnot. But yeah, other than that, you know, I feel inspired. Despite everything going on, and the weather always definitely helps. It's always nice when the weather, is getting warmer, especially after having like cold weather, and it's just motivational. So it's like something to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Like I read a tweet, dog, and it's like seasonal depression's real when that first 30-degree feels like you popped a molly. It's just like crazy.
No, like that like sad is a very real thing.
Yeah.
And you can just see it like taking a weight on so many people. It's amazing, not really amazing, but it's really interesting to see how much like our environment like has an effect on us.
Yeah, 100.
On every level, like from just like where we are to like the weather and just like who we're associated with and who we're around. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. And that's excuse me, ordinarily we don't think about those two things together as things that constitute like environment.
yeah,
But it's like, the people you hang around could be just as like impactful as on your environment as like rain.
yeah.
Uh,
No, it's so true, man. It's so true. Yeah, man. That's why like having these kinds of like check-ins that we do weekly are so important, just to give space for people to kind of gauge where they are emotionally and mentally, and knowing that like we're all doing what we can to keep the vibes going and to support each other.
100.
You know what I mean? So like that's why what we do is so important, so crucial, and I think one of the main things is about accessibility. To making sure that these kind of platforms are out there so that people can access with ease. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, man, it's definitely the vibe. But I know I have like a special guest who's going to be checking in with us a little bit later, and it'll be cool for him to kind of share his stories of coming of age and coming from one particular lifestyle to working in community and giving back.
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's always great to hear stories of people's like transformation, and
yeah.
it's always like a reminder to know that like we're not just in one position all the time. We're always evolving, we're always shifting. So what could have been important to us at one time may not be so important, moving forward. So
I think that's a great guest to have because like even for me personally, like I like there's a little bit of imposter syndrome, and then there's a little bit of like the squeeze of like what you're trying to be and like where you're currently at, right? And
right.
the attempt to like rise above or like be those things that you reflect. It's very challenging on a regular basis, and like to hear from somebody who's like even if we're gonna talk about like the life, the game, the streets, see somebody that participated actively and then
Mm-hmm.
switch sides or not even switch sides, but just change lanes. Like I think that's definitely insightful. Somebody needs to come up and have that conversation right now. You know what I mean?
Indeed, and what's so beautiful is like I've seen quite a bit of individuals that fall into that category over the years that have been able to like transition and really figure out ways to move forward and evolve.
Right.
And, it's just cool to see. So the artist or the individual that I'm I'm mentioning is he goes by the name of Sling Dadz, and he's
Right.
originally from Jane Strip, and doing quite a bit in the music scene, and now he's like doing stuff like giving back in the community. So I believe like he's like a youth worker in some kind of capacity right now. So it's going to be really, really cool to get him, to share some of his things, and especially for today's topic as well, as I know he has quite a bit of experience in that.
Yeah.
And I think like, yeah, like that's something that I want to do moving forward, is like bringing these type of individuals in specifically, so next week we got a special guest, Tona, you know what I mean? Let me just put it out there for now, so those who are people can get the exclusive. And
Right.
he's someone who I see in the same boat as well, coming from a particular environment area, just like circumstances, as why you're involved in certain things, and then taking that time to evolve and give back into community. So he's doing amazing things on the community level as well as the music level. So yeah, man, we just want real stories, real individuals, and just to give inspiration to those who may be in the transition space,
Yeah.
who maybe can't see the possibilities or opportunities ahead.
Yeah.
But it definitely pays to see examples, and this is why like representation is so important. Like we have
Right.
to actually see examples of ourselves, evolving.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's again hard, like that transition space. I think that's the most challenging part about change, like going from where you're at to where you want to be. And like everybody thinks that, yeah, it just happens, or or like it's a smooth transition, but like nah, like it's rigorous. Sometimes you go up, you go down, you come back, and you're like, ah, yeah, I'm there, and then it's like something
yeah,
pulls you back. It's not smooth, definitely.
yeah. Yeah, and like, and transition is not linear too.
Yeah.
It's like up and down, like what I mean. It's not just like you do this and then you're good to go. Like it definitely evolves. You know what I mean? So yeah, big up to everyone who's joining us. For those who don't know, this is our weekly Monday check-in. So we do our community check-ins to really kind of gauge how people are feeling. You know what I mean? So we usually encourage our viewers to jump in the chat and let us know like how you're feeling. So on a scale from 1 to 10, like 1 being not so great, 10 being amazing, what number are you at, and why? Let us know like where you're at, like how's your Monday going on. Today's topic is going to be about grief and coping mechanisms. So we're going to be going right into that. But before we start every session, man, we always start with the check-in, man. So go ahead in the chats if you feel comfortable. Let us know what number you're at for our weekly check-in. Fam, you good? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
sure. In the meantime, I guess we can check in. You know what I mean? Get people
Yeah,
the vibe. But today I'm feeling like a 7. You know what I mean? I feel like a
right.
7. Everything is everything right now. Like like the weather's getting better. I'm feeling like the spring opportunity, the spring freshness come through. So I
Uh,
feel like that's changing my energy up a little bit.
right,
Um,
right,
Today's topic is a little bit challenging for me, just because I feel like it's something that I'm dealing with like continually, just because of like the lifestyle that I lead and the lifestyle that I come from.
right.
Uh, so definitely hope to have some insights based on today's topic. But like, everything. I can't complain.
Mm,
Like everything. The most important thing is to give thanks, right? And I'm grateful. So
mm.
I'm blessed, How you
Yeah,
feel?
peace. Peace, man. No, I definitely hear exactly where you're coming from, and hopefully we can figure out some, positive methods or ways of being, you know. And this is like a collective effort, So everybody's who's involved. We want to hear your feedback as well. Yes, we got Kim So Royal. Big up to you. Asking about today's topic, and today's topic is on grief and coping skills. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So anybody who has any insights, things that are working for you, please let us know. But in the meantime, for our check-ins, if you can let us know how you're feeling on a scale from 1 to 10, that would be blessed. We really want to keep this interactive and knowing that this is a community vibe. So big up to everyone who's joining us. I'll check in. So I'm feeling about a 6. I feel like I'm like motivated because of the weather, but then I feel like there's like a lot of stuff that's happening that I'm like juggling, like I have my younger daughter here. There's some stuff I got to handle with my daughter in Montreal, and and then, you know, just like planning out work, and then, you know, self-care time. I just feel like there's just a lot. And sometimes when I have a lot on the go, I feel overwhelmed. And then when I'm overwhelmed, it's like I make like impulsive like decisions or reactions. So I'm not necessarily in my optimal like space. So it starts with that awareness. So now that I know that I'm there, you know, I'm taking like the appropriate measures for me to find balance, and to like, you know, find some like harmony within all of this. But I feel great because, you know, these check-ins also help me to like unpack. And I find like, you know, when you speak about things that are bothering you out loud, like something shifts, you know, like, and sometimes it's not necessarily about getting the answers, but just speaking out loud. There's something that just kind of gives opportunities and ways to find a solution.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's just kind of where I'm at right now. As you know, like we usually have Marley with us today, but he's taking some time out to handle some personal you know, issues and whatnot. And you know, we're setting like, you know, our you know, our positive vibes and blessings towards him and his peoples, you know, that are going through a challenging time right now. And hopefully, you know, like today's topic can kind of like be a way of supporting
Yeah.
some of the things, you
Yeah.
know. So that being said, I just feel like I'm in a reflective mode, and just reminding of like the power of like community, and that, you know, we all gotta, you know, have like empathy and compassion as we build. So yeah, man. But like I said, man, I'm always optimistic, and I always like keep my mind focused on gratitude, and always just looking for like a positive way, because the negativity is always around, and that's easy to get caught up into. But as long as we just, you know, focus on like what is working, and what we do have in our lives that's great, then, you know, we can build from there. So
That's the vibe. That's I there's something that you said that really stuck out to me, like by having a whole bunch of things to do. Like I feel, well, I'm reading this book. I don't know if I hold on, let me grab it for you guys.
yeah, yes, always got the book references, man. Yes, yes,
Never stop learning. That's the goal, you know?
that's it, that's it. Yeah, man.
Yeah, this joint Atomic Habits.
Right.
Almost done, you know, so the references from this book will soon be done, you know, but like maybe I could just jump into one quickly, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um
All about those tangibles, man. So anything that you can offer that's like something that people can hear and take away today, right now, let's do it.
yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
Um
What kind of gems you got?
all right. So you know how you said like you got a lot of stuff going on right now, right?
Right.
So this is like responding to those moments that you have, that you feel like you have the opportunity to change. Anyways, I'm gonna break it down. So it's on decisive moments.
Mm.
Every day there are a handful of moments that deliver an outsized impact. I refer to those little choices as decisive moments. The moment you decide between ordering takeout or cooking dinner, the moment you choose between driving your car or riding your bike, the moment you decide between starting your homework or grabbing the video game controller. These choices are a fork in the road. Decisive moments set up the options available to your future self. For instance, walking into a restaurant is a decisive moment because it determines what you'll be eating for lunch. Technically, you're in control of what you order, but in a larger sense, you can only order an item if it's on the menu. If you
Mm.
walk into a steakhouse, you can get a sirloin or a ribeye, but not a sushi. Your options are constrained by what's available. They are shaped by the first choice. We are limited by where our habits lead us. This is why mastering the decisive moments throughout your day is so important. Each day is made up of many moments, but is really a few habitual choices that determine the path you take. These little choices stack up, each one setting the trajectory for how you spend the next chunk of time. Habits are the entry point, not the end point. They are the cab, not the gym. So
Mm.
like, you know, just building on what you're saying about like just having a lot of things to do. Like I feel like our whole days, our whole more even bigger than that, like our lives are like compiled on these decisive moments, right? That may or may not like go ideally, but like we have control of every option, every situation. So it's like if you take a bad choice, you're probably going to be in a worse situation than you were before when you take a good choice. And like
Right.
those the series of that, or the like the like I guess addition of all of those at the end of the day will determine whether you've had a good day or a bad day. So if you like, if you stretch the terms, it doesn't have to be a day, it doesn't have, it could be a week, or you know, it could be a month, or it could be even like the past like years, you know. But like those series of bad decisions will manifest themselves in like a snowball effect.
Yo, man, that's powerful right there. You know, it kind of reminds me of those like choose your own adventure books. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like where like each decision kind of like leads to like, you know, another section of options, and then you got to make another choice from there and whatnot. And
yeah,
it kind of like piles up. But then
yeah,
this also connects back with like, you know, your infamous quote that I get you to share on your every time we do sessions, you know, about like how things start with your thoughts, and then how
yeah.
that like progresses. Go. You want to read us that quote real quick? Do you have that handy? Somewhere close by? Look, man, we're just gonna have that printed on the wall, man, because it's like super crucial. You know, I feel like this is kind of like the mantra, you know, like something that we gotta like start every session with, because it's like the alpha and omega, like the beginning and the ending. It just puts everything in such like intangible steps of like the orders of manifestation in such a simple and plain way of how it starts with our thoughts. So
100. Big up everybody
yeah,
in
man.
the chat right now. You know, appreciate you guys hopping on. You know, this is just a community breakdown every day. I mean, sorry, every Monday we do try to create a space where everybody could just, you know, really reflect on Wagwan and just create a space where there's other people listening. You know what I mean?
That's right, man. So, yo, in the meantime, for those who are on here, man, if you want to let us know how you're feeling on a scale from 1 to 10, like 1 being not so great, 10 being amazing, if you want to let us know like the number that you're at in the chat, that would be blessed. And if you want to share like why you're at that number, like what's going on, any kind of vibes that you're feeling, you can share that as well. Please let us know. We got this quote, man. All
Yeah,
right,
dog.
right. So Kim
I need to.
Sorrell is at a 10. Big up, big up. Okay, man. We got more moves at a 9. Like that, man. Everybody's on a higher scale, soaking in that vitamin D. All right, all right. We got Sly Fox Reality at 5. Okay, okay. So that's like, you know, the middle of the scale. Not so great, not so good, but that's, you know, right balance in the middle. All right, Kim Sorrell saying new week, new opportunities. I definitely appreciate that vibe. You know, something about the warm weather. You know, we had spring. You know, so it's really reassuring.
Facts, facts. You know,
All right, man. Appreciate everyone jumping in.
and to my guy Sly Fox, you know, like just hope these are why we have these spaces. You know what I mean? Like we're not here to like bring that 5 up to a 10, but like if we can change your day 1% for the better, you know, like I feel like we've succeeded. So you know, big up yourself for being here. Appreciate you. I'm gonna go through
Yeah,
this
yeah.
quote quickly.
Let's
Um,
do it.
so on the thoughts of manifestation. So watch your thoughts, for they become your words. Watch your words, for they become your actions. Watch your actions, for they become habits. Watch your habits, for they become character. Watch your character, for they become your destiny.
Mm,
So just
telling you.
one more time, you know, because I know it's a lot
Yeah.
to process,
One more
but
time. One more time.
it's cool, like to see the chain and how these events are you know linked with one another. Um,
Yes.
watch your thoughts, for they become your words. Watch your words, for they become your action. Watch
Mm,
your actions, for they become your habits. Watch your habits, for they become your character. And watch your character, for it becomes your destiny.
mm, mm.
So that's, I for me, I never like, it was challenging to think of, even if we're talking about decisions, you know, it's sometimes we think about decisions as something that's like happening in the moment and you don't have any time to prepare, or there's no like opportunity to like reflect on the situation that you're about to go into. But I find that the best philosophy for that is like stay ready so you don't gotta get ready. And like staying ready is understanding this mindfulness, you know, understanding where your actions or where your decision might be coming from. It might be coming from like a predetermined thought process, right? That turned into a habit, and like now you only know how to respond to situations in that type of manner. So yeah, man.
Yeah, no, that's a, you know, a beautiful like segue, you know what I mean, into just some of like our own programming and you know, certain conditions that we have and ways of how we handle certain things. You know, like sometimes we have like a desired result, but like our actions and the steps that we're, you know, incorporating are not getting us to those results, and then we get frustrated, we get anxious, and we're like, what's going on? It's not working. You know what I
Sure.
mean? But there is really like a science to it of like how things like build up. Yeah, man.
Sure.
So it's wild, yo. But yeah, man. So today's topic, well, okay, let me get into the chats though. So Kim Soroyal mentions you have to create your vibe, find the positive in the negative. Yes, yes. That reminds me of that Lauryn Hill line, you know, like develop a negative into a positive picture, you know? So it's
That.
like it's really about finding like the positive. And you know what's interesting too? Like this is really powerful too, because every every situation has like a solution in it. You know what I mean? Like it's in there. Sometimes the solution is more prominent and more clear than others. You know what I mean? But oftentimes like there is some kind of solution in there. So that just requires like an open mind and really to kind of see things from different angles. You know, to
Yeah.
like kind of get out of our habits, because sometimes like you mentioned, like we're conditioned to respond in a certain way. So that just might be this tunnel vision. It's like this is the only way that can exist, but in
Yeah.
reality like there could be some other options available.
And one of the processes of like finding positive out of the negative that I always like find myself like comparing to is the idea of like photo development. Like you're not
Mm,
able to get a clear photo without having that photo go through the process of being in a dark room, right? So if you compare
fact.
that to yourself, like a lot of the times you're not able to develop that clarity unless you've been through that dark place, right? And they always say that hindsight's 2020, right? So sometimes going through it is the best teacher, the best lesson that you can learn that, you know, will give you the insight that'll help you build from that situation. I think that leads well into what we're talking about right now. So
Mm,
grief.
yeah, man. Yo, I see brother Kemia on the call. I wonder if he can jump in, man. I think he would have a lot to say on this topic. I don't even know if I know how to invite the man them right now. Hold on.
For sure,
uh
yo. Big up
I don't
everybody,
even know.
everybody that's joining in.
Yeah. Hey, yo, Kemia, if you see like the invite link, if you can click that, man, I'd love to have you jump on this. That'll be blessed. Yeah, man. So in the meantime, yeah, man, we're talking about grief and like, you know, coping skills. Grief is such a big topic in our community. I feel like we face grief in so many ways. One of the more prominent ones is, you know, through gun violence and just, you know, experiences of that nature. But like grief could just be, you know, the process of like systemic racism. You know what I mean? Like grief could be just like, you know, certain like frustrations that we have experienced. You know, so like there's on the scale of grief, there's so many different layers to it. But I know that violence and dealing with loss is like a really heavy one. And I know that like when we deal with loss, it's something that we never really get over. You know, so it's really about like what are our coping skills, like how do we handle things. Yeah, man. So
Yeah.
big up to Eddie. Yeah, so our topic today is coping skills and grief. You know, so working through those emotions and what can we do when we're going through like a difficult time or a challenging time? Yes, yes, big up Owen, I see you. Yeah, man.
I think for me, like again, like what I was discussing earlier is um like these the processes that create the grieving in our lives. I think like for example, I've always thought about like life in terms of like a game, right? Where I come from the ball is life and all of that type of thinking, right? So when I do the comparison in the whoop de whoop, like a lot of the times we know about like what like the game is. It seems attractive, like, right, like all of these
Mm.
things that are happening whenever a game is, it's entertainment, right? However,
Right.
like when you find yourself like compelled enough to join into the game, nobody ever tells you about the cost of admission. You know what I mean? What it's gonna take from you to play, or what it's gonna take from you to be able to like just spectate. You know what I mean? Like I think this conversation is important for that lens, you know. Even like just like when you talk about systemic race, like systemic oppression and stuff like that, like nobody really like put it in a way that like it sounds cool when it's like systemic oppression. That sounds like like a theoretical term, right? But how does
Mm.
to people that look like you and me, and to people that like wear hoodies and caps, like how do you translate something like that so that they understand what it's like to walk into school and feel like, yo, there's a beef between me and my teacher, but I don't know why, right?
Right. Right. No, absolutely, man. So Eddie's in the chat saying, without the word of the Lord, nothing changes.
Definitely.
Huh.
I feel like, yo, everybody has their own means of reflection. For some people, it's
Mm.
by way of religion. For some people, it's by way of like toxic traits, toxic means, you know. But I think like it's challenging to find like a catch-all solution for like how people are to deal with grieving, you know.
Mm.
And even consider like even in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
context of the last year, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy, like when we talk about like grieving and coping skills and everything, like our mind immediately tracks to like gun violence and like politics and all of that stuff. But like the men are in a pandemic right now, and like that's not even
Right.
like the most like it's not the most pressing concern. So it's like it makes you think about like our state of affairs just within our own community is like
Mm.
doubly like impactful, or like doubly like 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 pressure, you know, like it feels like two times as much weight is on all of us, right? Like thinking about
Yeah.
people that are in America, not only were they dealing with like COVID, they had to deal with like the racist the like civil war that
Right.
was happening between their races, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. You know, and it's so interesting, you know, because I feel like, you know, from coming from our community, like, you know, just dealing with like, you know, obstacles and grief and just like trauma, it has become so normalized that it's just like it's just seen as part of life. So like,
Yeah.
so being resilient is just kind of like, you know, seen as, yo, it's just life, like we just got to keep moving forward. But I realize that, like, you know, the downside to like, you know, like resilience is that there's no like opportunities to really heal and to really kind of like process, because you're just so concerned about just keeping it going, you know. And like you said, like sometimes we even forget that, like, yeah, there's a pandemic going on, and that has created a lot of barriers and even more obstacles on top of the obstacles for people. But we're just seen as like, yo, it's just life, we got to keep going. And sometimes, you know, there's healthy ways of coping, and then there's not so healthy ways of coping, you know. So I think it's really about how do we, you know, figure out what's like the most optimal way to like work through these challenging situations, you know, that's not like destructive to ourselves or others.
Yeah. I feel like you know, now I can just I just want to build like personally, like where
Mm.
like the type of thinking that I came from, like, you know, like um that cost of admission that I was discussing earlier, that wasn't something that was like profound for me, or like it wasn't something that was like super explicit for me in order to play, right? So like
Mm.
as you're playing and as you're going through the motions of like this new environment, like you start to pick up habits of coping, right? Like you don't realize that certain things that are happening in that life are like traumatic. Like if you're on road still, and like, you know, like boy them draw down your brethren, and like, you know, your brethren gets twined up or you get twined up yourself, like the experience between you and law enforcement is going to be traumatic going forward, right? Or like if you
Of
have
course.
a brethren that drops out from the gun violence, right? Like your exposure or your relationship to the gun violence is going to be that much more traumatic, right? So I feel like when you're
Sure.
talking about the cost of admission, like for me, I picked up bad habits. I started to smoke a lot more, started to drink a lot
Right.
more. I started to spend my time a lot more just on, not to say like progressively or unproductively, but I felt like I stagnated for a bit in terms of like what
Right.
my goals were, because it's like being lost or like being caught in the middle of, a dark place. So like I feel like a lot of these coping mechanisms that we develop don't actually help us cope, but they're like crutches, you know what I mean? Like
Mm.
they help us walk, but they don't teach us how to walk again.
Yeah, and I think like these ways are really have just been to like designed to like really just numb the pain. You know what I mean? It's like not really to be progressive per se, but really just to kind of just like just not to feel anything, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just getting in that zone, man. So yeah, man, it's very real, and like you said, like those kind of experiences, like how do you really get over them? You know, I remember being like a youth worker in Scarborough, in a community that was, really prone to like gun violence and whatnot. And one of my youth got like shot right outside of like our community center. You know what I mean? Like broad day, like 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon, where kids are coming from school and whatnot. And luckily he didn't die though. But like that like traumatized me. Just seeing that experience and then going to the hospital and seeing all the stuff that comes along with that. You know what I mean? It's like you don't really get over those kinds of things, and then that's not to mention like like the funerals that
Yeah.
I've been. I've been to so many to the point where like I'm just numb to it. Like I remember the last one I went to, and when I really hit me was like I wasn't even getting sad anymore. Like I know I felt sad, but like the physical like reactions of these emotions were just not there. Like it's like I know I'm sad, but there's no tears. Like what's going on here?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it just happens so often, right?
Yeah, 100%. And yo, just that numbing, like a lot of the times you don't even realize that you're like the practices that you're taking to numb yourself. You don't even realize it, but like there might come a time where you're like trying to respond emotionally, but you just don't have it, like and it's awkward, but it's just like kind of like the what you got to do to like protect yourself and be in survival mode.
Indeed, indeed.
Want to
So
jump into these chats because the
proper.
chat went crazy right now. Big
All
up
right.
everybody that's responding in the chat.
Nope.
Um, Eddie Figueroa was talking about the play in 2021 is not the same as back in the day in the hood. Straight up, yo, the game's changed. The game's really changed, and in a lot of ways, it's still the same. So um, he also says not religion, relationship, not the same. Yeah, like a relationship. I think this is responding to his point before about the Lord and having a relationship, just having a spiritual relationship. I think that's super, super important. Um,
Indeed. Yeah.
but grateful we live in Canada, not like the States. Yeah, definitely. The tech allows us to come together. Yeah, look at this. We're on a live right now, and like, you know,
Yep.
everybody's connecting like we were in the same room. Um, Kim
Indeed.
Soroyo says a healthy way to work through things and cope is to maintain your health when people are grieving. They try to relive and think about things that um they ups have or where they used to have or would have done better. Yeah, dwelling is a challenging part when it comes to grieving. It feels like being stuck in quicksand. Um,
Mm.
the sad reality is we have to use the type on things around us and work towards preventative measures. What is the lesson? What in your life needs to be changed in a dark place more times than that? Yeah, and yo, just responding to that point, one of the most like, yo, if you don't learn your lesson from the first dark place, you're gonna get into that dark place again and have to learn your lesson until you get that lesson. Life works in cycles, and if you don't get through it, you're just gonna keep going through it over and over and over again, you know. Kim So Royal also says people find their strength. Um, Environment plays a big role in that period of coping and grief. Yeah, absolutely. I've never seen like a flower grow in the darkness.
Right.
Um, Yes, exactly. Dope, dope, dope. Appreciate everybody's input. You know what I mean? It's important. You know, these conversations they only go as we all go. You know, like the more open we are about these times and the more vulnerable we are about these times, I feel like the more insight that we're able to produce. Because you never know. Like, there's people that are going through these things that we're discussing, and they're going through it in like silence, right? So
Right.
like coming on and like letting people know that nah, you're not the only person that's going through situations or have had to gone through situations like this. Like it's encouraging, it's inspiring, and it's the right type of community building that I think needs to happen. I feel like it's always easy to come together as like under like the terms of like a candlelight vigil, or come together under the terms of like a funeral, but like when it's having those discussions, like those, what's the cost of admission type of discussions, like the need to come together and like actually share insights and share perspectives is so much smaller, you know what I mean?
Mm-mm. No, it's so true. That's it, man. I just want to go back to that point about like, being in darkness, and there's this quote that came up in a conversation the other day, and it was like, when you're in darkness, you're looking for that light at the end of the tunnel. But like the truth is like we are the lights. You know what I mean? Like we got to look within ourselves and shine that light so that we can see what's going on.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So even in the midst of darkness, man, there's always that opportunity. You know what I
Yep.
mean? It's like you're planting seeds that goes in the ground of the darkness, and then that's an opportunity for growth. So
Yep.
even when we're going through challenges, there's an opportunity, but the light that we shine is when we speak about it. Us having this conversation right now and opening up and sharing our stories, that allows the light to shine so that others can also find the light within them and find way, and find connection to know that we're not, just going through these things by ourselves, and our communities has experienced like so much grief. And like you said, like sometimes I know for me, like when I'm grieving, like I don't, I feel, sometimes I feel like I don't want to bother people. So I choose to like, go in isolation and numb myself, however I do that. And, but like, that's not like necessarily the most healthiest way to overcome. I think like the best thing we can do is to reach out to people. And I realize that sometimes it's not even about, again, like finding the solutions, but it's just about being heard. And even with all the emotions, just to be like, just have someone just listen and just be like, yeah, like you have all right to feel the way you do, and then even from there you can figure out what's next though. But yeah, man, I think it's really important to be expressive and get out of this mindset of like, showing our emotions is a form of weakness or whatnot, but it's a way that we do that. So
And
that being said, oh yeah, go ahead.
no, you're good, you're good.
Yeah, I was going to read like a definition of like coping skills that we have here. So it says the skills that an individual uses in order to process and move through difficult personal and interpersonal conflict and stressful situations. These skills can be effective or ineffective. So it's really like the process and how we move through difficult, conflicts or stressful situations. And as we mentioned, it can look in many different ways.
Yeah.
I think that it's really about utilizing like what works for you, but it's also having that awareness as well. So I
Yeah.
know that there's some comments in the chat there.
Let's see. Kim So Royal says again, one thing is when we grieve, people come together, and that's what helps people feel better. But then it kind of dies down, and people go back to living their lives until the next big thing happens.
Yeah.
But then it was already proven that unity presents a better feeling, comfort, love, and peace. And that's a huge fact. That's kind of like what I was talking about before. Like, like you feel, I know when I've been grieving and I've gone through things where I've experienced loss or I've experienced frustration or I've
Yeah.
experienced like just like tumult, like I think having somebody that actually gets it, or somebody that's willing to listen, is not even listen, but just be around. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's been helpful for me. But I also want to play devil's advocate, like that loneliness has been very helpful for me as well, because I don't
Right.
know about anybody else, but like the worst feeling is like when you're not present in a space, like you're going through something, whatever reason, like that thing is the most, like, the biggest thing on your mind, the biggest thing in your heart, and like it makes it impossible for you to be present in any given situation. So you're kind of just zombieing through things, kind of like what you said before about just that numbness. I think, like, like
Mm.
it's hard to there's it's challenging to be around people, because when you have that energy on you, it's kind of like realizing that you stink, or thinking that, like, I smell right now, but you're not like oversing it, like, my smell is like really, really, like, large. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just to, like, yeah, I understand the need for togetherness and unity, but like my personal, like, experience has been like one about, like, going through that lonely phase, you know what I mean? Kind of. And sorry, just to go
Mm,
on
mm,
before I
mm.
reintroduce our guests, let me
No,
just get
no doubt. No doubt.
these last little comments, and then we can get into that.
Yeah.
Spy Fox Reality says, one thing I would like to put out there is, some may find this childish, but you guys should try stress balls. Those things are helpful. I thought it was just for the kids I work with, but during times of stress and anxiety, the stress ball has been helping me a lot. Real,
Okay.
real shit.
Let's
um
peace.
and
Peace.
not even like just stress ball. Like, I find, like, some people it's rubber bands, some people, like, me myself, when I get anxious, stressed, or frustrated, I get fidgety, right? So you'll see me
Right.
like flick my thumb, or start rubbing my leg, or like start rubbing my hands or something. So I feel like the stress ball gives you that, like, that therapeutic motion to really, get into that med
Mm, mm.
space. um
Yeah. Yeah.
More Move says, it's important to be aware of what is triggering your pain points. Facts. I think a
Mm.
good balance of solitude and unity is important. Definitely, definitely.
Yeah. That's peace.
That
That's
way,
peace. Yes. Big
that way.
up. Get stories. See you. Yeah. Yeah. I think GL Glow mentioned that Play-Doh. I guess it's another way of stress relief.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
to keep your hands moving, so physical. That's peace, man. Yes. Well, that being said, man, I want to introduce our special guest, man. Shout out, man, the big homie, man, Sling. Dadz. I know he's a busy guy doing all kinds of amazing things in community. So I appreciate you taking time out to come in and bless us with your presence here. Big up, man. Big
Yeah,
up.
man. Yeah, man. Respect for having me, Logic. You already know, King.
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate like everything that you do and what you represent. I know that you've been doing quite a bit of it in community. I mean, from the moment I met you, you've always been like a community person, but it's just great to see, man's like, really showing improving in many, many wonderful ways, So I guess like for those who don't know, want to give a quick like introduction of like, like who you are, like what you represent and some of the things that you're involved in today.
Well, for those who don't know me, I go by Sling Dadz. My government name is Marlon Mortgage. Um,
Peace.
Basically, I'm a community leader, community activist, person for the people. I do a lot. At the moment right now, I work for a youth center called Frontlines. It's
Mm,
located in the western area, in the West End.
okay.
Um, I'm the youth engagement worker for that organization. So at the moment, I also work in the Jane and Falstaff community.
Peace.
And we run a program called FIT, Future Inspired Teens.
Mhm.
And in that program, I provide resources and services to youth in the community in regards to whatever they need.
Amazing.
So I do provide meals during the week, hygiene kits, etc.
Amazing, amazing, man. And like I said, man, like, I've been watching your evolution over the years, starting off like in the music and then now like you're giving back into community. I guess like what helps you with your transition? You know what I mean? Like coming from like the West End, I know there's probably all kinds of obstacles and things that may were like set up in a way of preventing you from like succeeding and whatnot, but somehow you found a path, a way of maneuvering through all that. So like, well, what was your, I guess, like transition like for you?
It wasn't easy, to be honest. You know what I mean? It wasn't easy, but you know, when you really want to do something, it's always been in my heart. Like you said, from you knew me, I've always been like a person in the community, and
Facts.
I'm a person that like to see people come together, no
Mm.
matter where you're from. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
man. That
So it's like,
Phoenix too, you know. You know what I'm saying?
so, but yeah, like real talk though, like it's always been in my heart to always, you know, give back. You know what I mean? And working with my people. You know what I mean? Especially so. I think just me just wanting to always doing it was just my main purpose of actually pushing through, because I went to college twice, first for music, but then I went back in regards to becoming a community worker, social work field, right? So
Big up, dog. Big up, dog.
yeah, man, respect, King.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what I would say is one of the things that would make me say that got me through, you know what I mean? Because people supported me in the community. They believe in, you know, a lot of people actually want to do what we do, you know what I mean? But they have obstacles that are, you know, facing them that they can't even do certain things, you know what I mean? But, you know, it is what it is, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. No, like I totally understand it, and this is why like we need like representation. You know, like the more that we're out here and showing our transitions, the more like, you know, people who, you know, maybe in a situation where they want to make a change but they can't, it's important that they're able to see like, you know, real examples of people who come from the same situations that they're from and then able to make it out. You know what I mean? So I definitely see you as someone who's definitely like risen up out of the ashes, you know, like a phoenix, as they say, and has been, you know, representing, you know what I mean? So this is just a simple example of why representation is important. But today's topic is about grief and like coping skills. You know, I want to get your take on grief and coping skills.
Frig, a lot of us experience it more than others, you know what I mean? I work with a lot of youth in the Falstaff community right now, and people know what's going on. You know, a lot of shootings been taking place in that community, right? And it has the youth them, even though COVID's going on, it has them even more isolated.
Mm,
You know what I mean? To the fact that they don't even want to be outside. You know what I mean?
mm,
And we try to, you know, provide grief counselors to them in regards to maybe speaking to somebody like myself, or even somebody who's more qualified in the situation, like family grief counselors and stuff like that. But with myself, I can only speak on my experience, you know what I mean? And with my experience, how I dealt with it is just God, you know what I mean? God
mm.
was a major, like just prayers, and, you know, having a relationship with God is very important, because without that, you know, a lot of people, they don't know if they're going left, right, or center, you know what I mean?
Mm,
So that helped me a lot, I can say. Having, you know, strong support system in regards to building you up, and
mm.
having the right people in your circle. You know what I mean? Because they say, what's that saying? That birds of a feather flock together, right?
Okay.
So when you have, you know, certain people in your circle that's a strong entity, you become, you know, a strong entity by growing and learning. You know what I mean? But
Mm.
yeah, a lot of people out there, you know, their ways are different, right? But I'm just can speak off of my own experience.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
doubt.
sure.
Before we continue, I know there's some stuff in the chat. Travoy, you want to handle that real quick? Want to make
Big
sure we
up.
keep it all inclusive.
Eddie going crazy in the chat. Yo, love, love, love.
I love it, man. Yes, keep it interactive, man. That's the whole point of this. You know, we're all here to learn from each other.
All right, let me see what I'll go on here. I grew up in Jane and Finch, 30
All right.
years, got married, and she said, let's move to Niagara Falls. It'll always be the ladies, yo. The ladies be coming in with the right time. And um, now in Mexico City, trying to make a documentary about lucha libre wrestling wrestlers inside and out of the side of the ring. This is for film festivals worldwide. Um, had being in Jane and had been in Jane and Finch as an artist. I think sometimes we just need to move away to see the light. GL Glow says it's heartbreaking. They need to allow it to be kids. Eddie says, you have my info, catch what I've done. Yeah, I guess we could check out what you got going on. I mean, maybe one day you can hop on here and, talk the thing yourself, because it sounds like you got a lot to say, brother. My kids need breakfast. God, the true one, is real. It's fact. The words move while you read it. This has helped me to find my creator that wants a relationship. I appreciate that. There's one comment that you said that really that stuck out to me the most. It's when you say, I think sometimes we just need to move away to see the light. It's challenging to say to people that have only known a certain way of life for a certain amount of time and only have been around a set group of individuals their whole life, to be like, go, just you need to change your surrounding. Now, don't get it twisted. I really believe in the power of changing your environment. It's very challenging though. I feel like as it's one of those things that you only see the benefits of afterwards, because like I've heard stories, tons of stories about like we'll take it to like high school. There's a youth that can't go, like he's going through it at a certain school, shit's not popping for him, and then after maybe he gets expelled, right, and sent to another joint, and that totally changes like the trajectory that he's on. Like things that would have originally like got him a slap on the wrist where he was coming from turns into something like, yo, you come here, like let's talk about this or something like that. So like I think it works both ways. I think it definitely works both ways.
Yeah, man. That's proper. So I'm trying to think of like, in the context of like, like coping mechanism, like what are some other like actionable items? I know we mentioned about like, certain like, stress balls and other things, and, looking towards God or religion or any kind of like higher spiritual practice. What are some other things that have been like working for people?
Meditation.
Okay.
And there's like well, I know some of the youths them in our program. We did something recently in regards to urban media arts. So we had youth submit arts in regards to how they feel, and then they gave in a description of why they drew the art and what it meant to them and how they felt while they drew it and stuff like that. And it was good. It was good because at the end of the day, people got to express themselves that normally they wouldn't be able to express themselves in front of like a crowd, right? But we did it virtually because of
Right.
COVID, of course.
No, this kind of reminds me of just like, the foundations of hip hop. Like when I look at like hip hop music and just even like, my earlier days when I started getting into hip hop, it was like hip hop was my coping mechanism. You know what I mean? To get through certain things that I was feeling or emotions or whatever. And yeah, like art therapy, exactly. My shout out to GL Glows. Yeah, I think like just recording music. I remember just going to the studio times where I'm just like pissed off for many reasons, and then going into the lab, recording your song, and then that was like my therapeutic like practice. Even if the song didn't get released, just that whole process of recording and then getting that out and then hearing it back like that, there's something to that. And I know that
Yeah,
we're all
definitely.
artists, so maybe y'all can speak from that perspective as well.
Yeah, definitely. I would say music is definitely helped me in regards to therapy in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure most people, you know,
Definitely.
it's a way of expressing themselves,
Definitely.
creatively.
Yeah, man.
And like,
Don, what are your thoughts on that?
yeah, for sure. I feel like being an artist right now is especially being like a young black artist right now. There's a lot of pressure on us. Like You know, like a lot of the times it comes out as like you might hear our music and like you might call it like hip hop or like art music or ray any type of sting like label like that, but on the just to play devil's advocate for a second, like these are our stories, you know what I mean? These are our life, our lived experiences that we're sharing with the world. So it's not like we're trying to glamorize or like glorify a certain type of lifestyle that might be destructive. It's really us like sharing our stories with the world, you know. So I think my biggest thing, not so much about like artistry and expression, but more
Mhm.
so about like owning your story. You know what I mean? Like figuring out like who you are, what you do, like what your goals are, what your motivation are, what makes you passionate, you know, like figuring out those things and like figuring out ways to express that. You know, sometimes it might come out in a track, or it might come out in a beat, or it might come out in like a painting or something like that. But I ownership and like independent. Yeah, this is what I
It's
um I think that one's for you, Slinks.
yeah. We haven't so far we only did like something for Black History Month in regards to the urban media it was like a contest, right? But in the future, that would definitely be something I'd like to implement. Sure.
Dope, dope. I love close readings of lyrics because I feel like there's a different experience about when you're hearing it versus when you're seeing it and reading it. Like for me personally, when I see lyrics, Doug, it's a lot more powerful and a lot more like tangible than when I'm hearing it. Like when if I see the word pain, it's different than hearing the word pain, you know, or just vice versa. So I think like breaking down lyrics like that is a very it's yo sometimes you might see it's like a letter, you know, like the lyrics are written in a way where it's like they're really bleeding out for people to hear, you know what I mean? um GL Glow says I think public don't see through the lyrics. Yeah, man. Sometimes
True.
you can only judge the surface. Yeah, I know it's super in vogue right now in the city to be like, yo, dog, yo, all they rap about is the gun violence and da 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 and whoop whoop. But
Mm.
like I'm challenging everybody to look a little bit deeper and like listen a little bit more and try and like empathize with these youth, and not these youth, with us, you know, because I'm a part of that demo, right?
Right.
Like try and hear what we're saying rather than like feeling what we're saying, because yeah, it's super aggressive or it's super like hostile, but in order for it to be like that, we have to come from that, you know.
Indeed. And just something to add to that, like hip hop, will always give like a pulse of like of youth culture, like whether we like it or not. Like hip hop will always like show like what is going on with the young people. And for me, like when I hear a lot of these songs, even though they may be aggressive and violent or whatever, when I take time to really like listen to it, like really hear it, to me it sounds like a cry for help. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm really hearing, like between all these lines of the frustrations, the anxiety, like the trauma, like all of these things, and trying to figure out a way. And it's just reaching out, you know, the best way they know how, and that's like through the music, you know. So we as a community definitely have to like look at things from various angles, you know, and especially if we're not part of the lifestyle, because it's easy to judge it and to be like, well, just, you know, just stop it and everything will be fine. It's like, no, it's a little deeper than that, right? So I think like a lot of mindfulness and care and like non-judgment, but just, you know, just finding ways to like support is a major, you know, game changer to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that being said, we're coming towards the end of our session. I know that there's a few more comments in the chat. Maybe Travoy, maybe you can read some of those and then
yeah, yo, Eddie says like keep on smiling, conquer your day right now. Right now. Not
right.
tomorrow, not later. Yo, right now. Rate that. GL Glows. I find that the youth or just people in general, you can know more about them by just having them highlight what verse stands out. That's a fact. That's
Right.
a big fact, yo.
Right.
That's why I love having my participants doing that in the workshop, and more impactful to use music from local artists. Absolutely. Because I can try to bring the artist breakdown to their own lyrics. Well, you know, big up to you, GL. You know, seeing you working in the community, we need more spaces like that where people are taking time to really, like, you know, like walk with youth, not like trying to show youth where to walk, you know?
Indeed, man. Okay, so I'm just gonna read some closing coping skills that I just came across. So like one coping skill that's mentioned here is like distractions. So that could be, you know, a pro or a con. So whether that's like, you know, doing arts or, you know, trying to you know, get involved in music or listen to music or doing something to like kind of get your mind off of it temporarily, that could be a way of coping. But you know, in the long term, like, you know, there's other ways to handle that. You know, grounding exercises. So like, you know, using your body and your senses, like certain smells, like what can you see, what can you touch, you know, things of that nature to kind of ground you to be more present in the moment. Another outlet is like, you know, emotional release. So sometimes even just like yelling or screaming or, you know, allowing yourself to cry, like, you know, these kinds of things can be helpful. Another one is like, you know, self-love, you know, so that could be as simple as just like taking a shower, washing your hair, cutting your fingernails or something simple like that, you know. And then your thoughts, you know, trying to be like, you know, intentionally figuring out ways to you know, shift like your perceptions and the ways of how you're dealing with things, finding things that you're grateful for as opposed to just focusing on the negative, you know. And then a last one, which is something that came up quite a bit in these chats, which is connecting to your higher self. So, you know, prayer, meditation, you know, things of that nature to understand that we as human beings, like we're connected to like a larger system. So therefore everything that I'm feeling internally, like that also connects to like what others could be experiencing externally as well. You know what I mean? So no one is an island. So like no matter what we go through, we're always interconnected with each other. You know, whether it's cause or effect, it don't matter. You know what I mean? We're all interconnected. You know, so it's important to like keep those things in mind. But yeah, man. I just want to big up everyone for coming through today, man. Shout out Sling Dadz, like I said, man. You know, like maximum respect for all the stuff that you've been doing. You know what I mean? Like showing improving. You know what I mean? Like I said, man. You know, you going to school and coming back in the community, and all that started was because you had people that believed in you. And I think that's one of the reasons why, like, I'm involved in community too, because I was, you know, a misguided youth at one point, and I was lucky to have certain mentors. I was like, yo, like, you're different, man. You're not supposed to be on this. Like, what are you saying? And believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. So that's why it's natural for me to like want to give back that same energy. And I think that that's beautiful, and that's what we need to like highlight and celebrate in our community, man. So big up to you, and you know, love to see the work that you're continuing to doing, and I know that we'll have you plug back into some of our lives in the future as well.
Yeah, man. Respect, Logic.
Yeah, man. Always, every time, man. So that's pretty much concludes our session for today, man. Thank you everybody for your participation and keeping this interactive, and you know what I mean? Like we're all just doing our part. You know, we're just, you know, a group of individuals that decided to do something different. You know, that's all this is, man. Ain't nothing crazy special or whatever. It's just we just want to do something different, and hopefully we can lead by example and encourage others to do something different too. All right. Yeah,
Yes,
man. So that
sir.
being said, man. Yeah. So that being said, man, join us next week on Mondays between 11 and 12 p.m. Next week, we got some special guests coming through, man. We got Tona, we got Fame Holiday coming through. So it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be insightful, and this is what community building looks like. You know what I mean? We're taking it from the classroom to Instagram to the staircase to like wherever our young people are, man. You know, we're making it successful. So that's what we're gonna keep doing. All right. So that being said, man, we'll see y'all next week. All right,
Love.
man. Peace, y'all.
Yeah.
No.